Nama saya Rizky Anugrah Pangeran dari kelas 334A07 dengan NIM 332000109 dan ini adalah project UAS untuk poetry saya. Number 1. Find a poem that contains the work setting, then analyze it. The poem is I Wandered Lonely as a Cloud by William Wordsworth. Begins with a single solitary cloud floating slowly over the English countryside. We don't often see one cloud off by itself, but that seems to be the case here. The main body of the poem is windy enough to create waves on the lake, and to make the flowers pop up and down in concert. At the end of the poem, the setting shifts indoors to the speaker's couch, where he sits bored and staring off into space. Number 2. Find a poetry that contains the author's background and analyze it. The poem is I Wandered Lonely as a Cloud by William Wordsworth. William Wordsworth was born on 7 April 1770 at Cockermouth in Cumbria. His father was a lawyer, but Wordsworth's parents died before he was 15, and he and his four siblings were left in the care of different relatives. As a young man, Wordsworth developed a love of nature, a theme reflected in many of his poems. While studying at Cambridge University, Wordsworth spent a summer holiday on a walking tour in Switzerland and France. He became an enthusiast for the ideals of the French Revolution. He began to write poetry while he was at school, but none was published until 1793. In 1802, Wordsworth married a childhood friend, Mary Hodgkinson. Number 3. Find a poem that contains a critical perspective, then analyze it. The poem is I Wandered Lonely as a Cloud by William Wordsworth. The poem I Wandered Lonely as a Cloud is a beautiful specimen of romantic poetry. It was written in 1804, recording a happy event that had taken place 2 years earlier in 1802. The poem is a good example of Wordsworth's belief in the communion between nature and man, and nature's healing power. It also reflects his concept of the romantic imagination and his belief in spontaneous overflow of powerful feeling recollected in tranquility, which he professed as the theory of poetry. Number 4. Analyze this poem on intrinsic and explicit element and what is the message from the poem Out by Robert Frost. Number 1. Intrinsic element. Them tells about the tragic tale of a boy injured in an accident. Just as he is about to go out for his dinner, his arm gets caught in a buzzsaw. He loses his hand and then dies from blood loss. The poem is thus a stark reminder of the fragility of life, that the tragedy can happen to anyone at any time. Figurative. The poet used of personification, symbolism, and metaphor. Personification. The buzzsaw snarled and rattled in the air. From line 1. Symbolism is the use of symbols to signify idea and qualities by giving them symbolic meaning that are different from the literal meaning. Here sentence symbolizes the end of the young boy's life. Metaphor. To keep the life from spilling. Line 19 to 22. Imagery. Imagery is used all over the poem. The poet's use of symbolism in the poem is significant because contents in his writing style. When the lead boy's friend, neighbors, and family were not the one that turned to their affairs. In line 39, symbolize the most people, ones that are forgotten in time. Extrinsic element, outdoor background. Robert Frost was born in San Francisco, California on March 26, 1874. His father was a New Englander and his mother, Isabel Moody, was a Scot who had come to America from Edinburgh. She was a poetess and so wanted to name her son Robert after Robert Burns, the greatest poet of Scotland, but the father wanted to name him after General Lee. So, as a compromise, the boy was named Robert Lee, hence his full name was Robert Lee Frost. In the beginning, the boy did not show interest in studies, but during his 4 year stay at Lawrence High School, he displayed an intense pleasure in learning. In 1892, he joined the Dartmouth College, which he soon left, saying he had enough for scholarship. During the next few years, he tried to earn a living in various ways. He worked in mills, took the newspaper reporting, and taught in school. In his leisure hours, he wrote poetry in 1894. His youthful poem, My Butterfly, was published in the New York Independent, and soon after he privately published 6 of his lyrics in booklet titled Twilight. In 1895, he married his beautiful schoolfellow, Eleanor White, and tried to lead a settled life as a school teacher. Baker of literary work of the work setting. The poem was written in memory of 16-year-old Raymond Tracy Fitzgerald, whom Frost had befriended while living in Franconia, New Hampshire. Fitzgerald had died on March 24, 1910, after an accident similar to the accident related in the Out. Number 2, message. The poem focuses on a people's reaction to death, as well as the death itself, one of the main ideas being that life goes on. The boy lost his hand to a butcher and bled so much that he went into shock, dying in spite of his doctor's effort. The poet used personification to get effect throughout the poem. Number 5, create the poem. The title is For Lovers. My heart is so ardent. Her voice is clear as skies. Words blues my heart. The rhythmic groove turns right in my ears. You are the sun in my skies. You are the light in my life. She whistling cheerfully, make my heart full of love. Your arrival makes me froze, like this body being hit by a blizzard. Even sun smiled at me, not a word crossed in my mind. Embed it in your memory. I left it to Atlantic Ocean, like looking up at the beautiful blue sky. Your smile strikes my heart like crying. Terima kasih. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.